live on our Instagram.
cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester.
Tired.
CMPradio.net, man. We are live from the Cultivating Mature Positivity Studios. And listen, I have a very, very, very special guest. Two very special guests, as a matter of fact. Tomorrow, Thursday, they will be live at a town hall meeting, Delaware County Town Hall meeting at the Keystone Wellness Opportunity Center in Chester, 6:30. That's tomorrow. Go there, because what they have to talk about is very, very, very important. Tonight we will be talking about the future of our youth, the juvenile justice system. They're talking about building a $40 million, I guess, a housing unit, right, for the juveniles that get locked up in Delaware County. Me personally, I don't have a problem with building one, but I want to hear what the problem is, or what the problem that I should have is. Right here, I have Miss Tonita Austin and Mr. Andre Sims. How y'all doing today?
Peace. I'm great. Grateful.
Right. And let's get into the conversation. Like, what is first? Nope. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about y'all background. What y'all into? Mr. Andre Sims is the lead youth organizer for the Youth Art and Self-Empowerment Project and a member of the Care, Not Control campaign. He is known to the hip-hop world as Day One, Not Day Two, and facilitates the Youth Participatory Defense Hub, as well as art, poetry workshops in Philadelphia in the Philadelphia jails. He uses his own personal experience with the criminal justice system to help other young people who've been impacted by the carceral state. Now, when I seen that word carceral, I said, oh man, that takes me back. That takes me back to school, right? Miss Tonita Austin is a Philadelphia native, a business owner, a mother, a writer, and a lifelong community activist who has been a resident of Delaware County for 22 years. She is a founding mother and the founding member and the current chair of Delco CPR. Now, that organization shut down the privatization of George W. Hill. Y'all did that. Y'all
Not
did.
alone, but yeah.
Not. I said y'all. Y'all. Everybody that's down with CPR did that, right? And the instrumental in deprivatizing George Hill Correctional Facility. That was hard work, man. How long was that work? How long was that?
Started in 2017,
Right.
and they finally deprivatized this year.
Man, that was dangerous.
Yeah, it was long.
It was dangerous. 5 years. So let's get into this conversation, right? What is the problem that you see with spending $40 million on a juvenile facility?
Well, I guess let's start at what they're replacing. So I don't know if people in the community are aware of what happened in Glen Mills,
Right.
which is supposed to be a place where they hold youth so that they don't end up in the detention center. That was shut down because of allegations of abuse, which were found to be true.
Right.
in March of 2021, the Delaware County Juvenile Detention Center was shut down for allegations of physical, sexual abuse, neglect. And so they created a board of managers during the investigation. So there's the Attorney General, who's now soon to be governor, opened an investigation, and the final report came out a few weeks ago, which confirmed all of the allegations of physical, sexual, emotional abuse, neglect. And some of that neglect was the staff, and some of it was the county council. So here we are now that they're going forth to try to they have plans, an architect, they spent money on an architect to not only renovate the old place, but to double the size and almost quadruple the size of the beds. So at the time it was shut down, there were about 10 young people there.
Right.
And they want to have a facility that has enough for 25 young people. And so, it's easy to say, these youth have to go somewhere.
Right.
Okay. But the problem is that we keep having the same solution and the results are going to be the same. So we need to think differently about how to care for these young people. Because the majority of them, as you know, they're trying to survive.
Right.
They're out there trying to survive. They might be stealing, they might be doing drugs, whatever. There's a reason why they're out there, doing all these things. So if we're going to put $40 million somewhere, our schools shouldn't be suffering. We can't find Black or, mental health professionals, to talk to these students. There's not enough people in the schools to help, but they want to put officers in the schools, and they want to, it's part of, as we know, this pipeline. And so we're here to just disrupt that thinking, and, our communities should be a place where we care for our youth, not like put them out, miles away from us, where, families can't get to them. And Andre's heard me say this before, the Maasai people, the Maasai warriors, when they greet each other, they don't say, hey, how you doing? They say, how are the children?
How are the children?
And the response is, all of the children are well. So this is what we come from, a community where, if you know about where we come from, if somebody did something wrong, they bring them into the circle, of the community, and they have to resolve it. We don't send them out away from us. And so that's why I'm doing this, because I have a son, I have brothers, I know people who have been through the system, and yes, it's wonderful that they're here speaking out, but they shouldn't have to repeat their trauma to get people to listen and do something different. So I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay, all right. Mr. Sims. Peace, brother. Like when I first met you outside, you said peace. That just brings a warming to my heart, right?
That's what it's all about. That's what we want to center this on. Peace. That's all we want.
That's really all you want, right? So let's give it, right? So peace, brother. Absolutely. You've gone through this system. As a juvenile, you went to jail, or as an adult?
So my first experience with the criminal legal system, I'm not going to say justice system because there's no justice there, but my first experience with the criminal legal system was around, I think, 14 or 15 years old. I actually was sent to Lima after a fight with my brother.
Wow.
I got into a fist fight with my brother. And whenever I do speaking engagements, whenever I'm out, I always ask people, especially in the colleges, how many in this class have, by show of hands, ever got into a fight with a sibling? The whole class raised their hands. It's something normal. And then so I asked again, all right, how many were charged with an aggravated assault felony and arrested for it? Everybody's hands go down because you're talking about privileged kids, you're talking about white kids, you're talking about people with money. And so you ask the question generally in the beginning, like, why should you be concerned? Just as a black man, we can't talk about, the criminal legal system. We can't talk about prison without going all the way back to slavery and talk about how it's been used as a system of control to really control our race, control our population, control the power, and so Yeah, I've experienced firsthand what it's done. I've seen what it turned me into, and I've seen what it turned my friends into, my comrades into. After I went through Lima, unfortunately, I did end up going home. But a year later, I was incarcerated and sentenced to 8 years upstate.
Wow.
And I was 17 then. This was directly after my experience with Lima. I take 100% responsibility for my actions as a man. I stand on that. Right. But at the same time, we have an institutional responsibility. We have a responsibility as a community. Right. And these institutions, these, politicians, these leaders, our schools, they have a responsibility to help our children.
Absolutely.
And if not, we're not going to continue investing in these systems. The detention center, the $45 million detention center that they want to build, is statistically proven not to work. The statistics show that the majority of kids who go through detention end up getting rearrested a year, 2, 3 years later.
So the question is, who doesn't it work for, right? Because it doesn't work for us, but it might work for them. If you're talking about going upstate and more money being poured in, and you have judges who are sentencing people to jail to send them to, privatized institution. Now in Pennsylvania, the only privatized institution was George W. Hill. Now that it's not privatized anymore, how are we seeing things work? Who's the judge that's not sending the kids to jail? Who's giving them a second chance? Who's giving them a grace program or a gun divergence program? Who's doing this for us, right? Are we speaking on those terms, or are we just saying, this is unfair and we don't know what we want to do with the kids that are committing crime?
I'm speaking from a service provider standpoint.
Okay.
I have my own nonprofit organization.
Right.
I'm an artist. Day 1 Not Day 2 is my artist name, but it's also our organization name. We have emotional intelligence training.
Right.
For young people that get caught up in the system. We'll gladly take them. I was just in George W.
Wow.
We was just walking through, sitting down with the youth on SMU, the same block that I was just on.
Right.
And so we're trying to get programs in there as we speak. We're starting a participatory defense hub. I work for one out Philly. I'm like, we need this in Chester. We need this in Delco. We're about to start one about here.
Okay.
Restorative justice program. And there's so many things that we can do instead of investing in this same system, the same pipeline that don't work for us.
Don't work for us.
And as they're going to do what they do at the end of the day. But as community leaders, we know it's not working for us.
Right.
I'm also at the school board meetings on a regular where the teachers are begging for more money, for more teachers, for more books, in the classrooms. And it blows my mind that we could fund $45 million for a prison, but we can't hire more teachers. We can't invest in the education. Like, look what they doing right in front of us. It don't add up.
I think before, probably like 10, 20 years ago, the people that were in charge, they dropped the ball. They weren't paying attention, right? I don't know if it was the money that got them, if the notoriety got them, if the power got to them, but I feel like they dropped the ball. And now, since we're paying attention more, since more information is available to us through these phones, right? People that were reading books back in the day, right? You're like, oh, you were telling the truth when you were saying all these things. You were really looking at it with a clear eye, and I was blind to that. So they go in. They say they want to open this prison. What is your other option for the $45 million? Are we proposing another option, or are we just saying we don't want the jail at all?
So I think kind of what I alluded to before, one issue is that these youth are so far away from the community.
Right.
So we're talking 10, at a time. We're not talking like hundreds of kids that we have to worry about. So that's a house.
Right.
Like that could be, a house in Chester where they can get like real food and maybe some men from the community come in and talk to them. And, it's just easier to have access to have the community support them. Of course, therapists, of course, there's some that are really, having a hard time. And even if they, have a lock on the door of the house so that they can't get out, like they're not in locked cells far away so that nobody has their eyes on them. If you have a staff that's abusing one of them, if your mom, your uncle, whatever is coming through every once in a while, is going to be squashed much quicker. Plus all of the services, the community services are here in the community. There's nothing out at Lima, you know. They get the kind of excuses, like Andre said, we went to actually talk to the young people in George Hill, like sitting here face to face.
Right.
And they told us what they wanted. You know, they understand that they may need some time to cool off in a space, but it needs to feel like they're human beings. Right. That they're, you know, they need love. You know, I got
it might be the first time they ever received it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A hug or a fatherly figure telling them, listen, son, you were wrong. And I'm going to call you son because I feel like every boy is my son. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every girl is my daughter. You say something slick, I'm going to talk to you the same way I would talk to my daughter. Right. You know what I mean? And if you don't like that, Mom, then you have a problem with the way you're raising your kids, right? So, you know, Glenn Mills, for me, I never really saw Glenn Mills as a bad thing. I have friends that worked out there. They used to tell me, oh, man, we pulled the kid up, beat the kid up. I said, hold on, you're beating the kid up? He's like, yeah. Then I was like, well, I got beat up when I messed up at home. So what was the problem with Glenn Mills and everything that they were doing there? Because I didn't really get a chance to dive into that whole report, but
I mean,
I think that was the problem. They were beating the kids up. I think that was the problem.
It's not a spank.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if it is a spank, we talk about like the good old days of how our families used to spank us and all of that. Like that is still abuse. Right. You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I got spankings too. I gotta acknowledge I got trauma that I gotta deal with because of that. You get what I'm saying? And the brain doesn't turn off and say, you know what, I'm not gonna overproduce cortisol because I'm getting beat by my mom or my dad instead of beat by a stranger. Our bodies respond the exact same way to being abused regardless. And so especially when it's coming in an institution that is supposed to help kids and the way they were just covering it up, like they called it, I think, discipline, or they tell you to square up when you up Glenn Mills. I had so many friends that told me stories about it, and then like they would beat kids so bad their faces would be messed up, they'll cancel their visits. You know, their family can't come see them this week, they'll give them some crazy excuse. And just the level of control that they had, and nobody spoke about it for so long. You know, nobody spoke about it for so long. And so like you can't rehabilitate and grow when you're in survival mode. Right. And every time I was in one of these type of facilities, I'm in survival mode. I'm not thinking about what I did wrong. I'm not thinking about the people I've harmed in my community. I'm thinking about surviving. The first thing I learned when I went into a facility, sharpen the toothbrush because you're gonna need it. You get what I'm saying? I'm in the trenches. I'm in war mode. You're not thinking about growing, and so it's counterproductive to what we're saying. Okay. You know.
I think, you know, a lot of people think about the victims, which of course, you know, if you've committed a crime or, you know, there's the victims. And, you know, we're not saying that that isn't part of the solution. You know, 9 times out of 10, they're going to, if they're not being rehabilitated, if they don't have an opportunity, they're going to go out and reoffend. So you're really making the community less safe.
Less safe, right?
You know, by putting them in these institutions and not getting them any opportunity to better themselves.
I mean, after your first offense, you figure this is what I'm going to do. This is what it feels like. Oh, I'm gonna do it again. And we were talking earlier before the show started. I said, man, it was fun. First time I went out to the old jail, the castle. The first time I went out there, and I heard everybody talking about how, man, we was cool. I was out there. We was vibing. I was only out there for 2 weeks, and I got bailed out. But those 2 weeks, I was cool. You know what I mean? But what happened was after that, it was constant. Over, and if I show you my arrest record, it's like, yo. For real, seriously? Like from 1998 to 2006, it was almost every year. Wow. I was involved with the police up until the fact that I went upstate and I said, yeah, I can't do this no more. Right? I'm tired. I'm 28 years old. When I come home, I can't keep doing this, right? And I had to change my life. But I understood why, and I understood why I needed to do it because it was for my son. So I think you know, so I work for Chester Partnership for Safe Neighborhoods, right? And that's a DA-led program. Now, I don't work for the DA, but I'm in the community offering services. The one thing that I try to get the DA to understand is grace. Giving Chester residents, Upper Darby residents, Sharon Hill residents, people that come from the train tracks, right? people that come from on the side of the highway, people that are hiding, giving them grace because we don't grow up like the people in Radnor and Villanova and media.
Yeah.
You know, we fighting for crumbs. I mean, not even enough to say you ate anything. We're fighting and we're losing people over those things. So I'm like, you have to give us grace, and they're listening, right? How much they're listening, you feel, is still yet to be determined, but they are listening to a point where they're offering grace, right? So, you know, I'm thinking about this juvenile justice system, and I'm saying, you know, what's the other option? You mentioned the house, right? Could it be 2 or 3 houses in different, like one in Chester, one in Media?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and okay,
Restorative justice programming.
okay,
You know, and when we talk about the alternatives, like the answer is out there. The CDC, get this, the CDC actually has juvenile violence listed as a public health crisis. Not a criminal thing, it's a public health crisis, and the responses to it, they have a tactical plan. It's about 64 pages. I'm still reading through it. But they have about 5 recommendations on how to respond to juvenile delinquency. None of them involve prison.
none of them.
This is the CDC, the same people we listen to and put that vaccine in us, the
Right.
same people that tell us mask up
Right.
and, you know, stay 6 feet away.
Right.
They have a response to juvenile delinquency, and it's about mentorship programs. It's about skill building. It's about education. It's about the actual environment that they live in. They say if you improve these things, like you're improving not only the health of the community, but you're improving the life of this young person,
of the young
and you're lowering the chances of recidivism. You're lowering the rates of being even a victim of crime with that. So it's not just a perpetuator. You're also lowering the rates of being victimized with that. Heal people, ill people, and so we got to make sure that we're focusing on healing. And so the data is out there. We just have to believe and stop reacting to fear. You know, if it bleeds, it leads. I say. Whenever we talk about what they put on the news and what they put in the papers, they just want it's a money thing.
That's
you know,
it.
so many people make money off of our fear, off
Yes.
of our oppression, off of our
Yes.
struggle as Black
Yes.
people.
Yes.
You know, we gotta take ourselves out of that equation and do what's best for us.
Do what's best for us. Absolutely. I agree with you there. You were speaking before we started about hope and love, right? You were talking about your son, right? And is that something, because you were mentioning that, is that something that you can give to the kids, right? Do you think that could work, right? Giving kids hope and love, you think that would change them?
Well, you know, the reason I joined Delco CPR, or was one of the founding members, is because I too was ignorant of, you know, I'm like, jails for bad people.
Right,
like,
right.
What?
Send 'em. Right.
What? You know, let them suffer.
Right.
But then I went on a tour and I visited, and you know, they kept everything clean and shiny and kept everybody away from us. But there was a young man coming through intake, and he was like, he came to the door and I could see like them trying to back him up, and we locked eyes, and I just cried.
Right.
Like I felt
Right.
something in me,
Right.
just felt like this is just a horrible, like who wants to be in that position, you know? And so we went to visit the young people, and I kept insisting, like it took a lot for them to, you know, back and forth, like they did not want us to talk face to face with them. And finally, and then to bring Andre in,
I don't know how he pulled that one off.
I don't know, that was like whoop. But you know, I could see, you know, the one young man was talking about how he had been there since he was 14. He was about to turn 17.
Wow.
And like, you know, his eyes started to just thinking about like how long he had to just sit there,
Right.
still waiting for his trial.
Still waiting for his trial.
And so I asked him before we left, I'm like, can I give you a hug? Do you mind me giving you a hug? And he was like,
Please.
you know, and they
Take
kept
me with you.
asking, like,
Right.
when are you coming back? Like nobody comes to see them.
No.
You know, nobody comes to visit them. The teachers only stay 10 minutes and leave.
How are you teaching somebody for 10 minutes?
They're not. They're
And dropping off a worksheet and then leaving.
dropping off like, their homework, and just staying for like 5 minutes to see if they got questions, and then they're out. So they don't get instruction. And so, you know, but that was the question they asked them. You know, they would listen to us, they listen to Andre, and they'd be like, so when are y'all coming back?
So what types of crimes go to juvenile, like, detention? Like, is it drugs? Is it guns? Is it a person that, you know, we're talking about somebody a juvenile can shoot somebody and hurt somebody and kill somebody, right?
It could, or you'll hear Sergio, if you come tomorrow, talk about. I think he wrote on the wall at school, or something like really ridiculous. And they start by like saying you have a behavior problem, and then they want to put you into like a therapeutic school. And if you go, I've been to these therapeutic schools where the doors are locked and there's people in the halls that look like security guards, and then it just kind of escalates, and then because you're not happy there, you're probably being treated badly. So next thing you know, you're doing something, you're angry, and
worse.
you get it just escalates. And so we as elders need to do a better job, because we're the first to be like, all right, well, he was knocked so and so up in the head, like he get what he get, instead of. Or like, oh, he's 17, 18, time to go. You're on your own. We can't let our youth go that early anymore. The world today is not like it was when I was 17.
It's not.
You just can't push your kids out and be like, you on your own.
I always said, if you put your kid out at 18, be prepared for what comes next. It's going to be some police knocking at your door, or it could be one of his friends saying he's at the hospital. You know what I mean? And your daughter as well. She could come home pregnant or whatever. But keep your kids close to you. Just because they turned 18 don't mean they grown. Don't kick them out into the streets. I had a friend. I went to Holy Ghost Ukrainian Catholic School. I had a friend that I graduated 8th grade with, and he lived in the house with his mom until he was 34. When he moved out, he bought his own house. I wish I lived in a house with my mom, so I was 34.
My brothers were like,
it could save some money, right, to buy my own house, right? Like literally, like, and sometimes that's what needs to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing wrong with taking care of your kids. They graduate college, they come home, they should be able to come back into your house and get their footing. You know what I mean? If they're still in the city and they're lost at 17, 18 years, keep them, bring them closer to you, right? Because now they're adults and they're about to go out into this world, and this world is cold, bro. Yeah. This world is cold.
Well, the brain isn't fully formed until like 25. So, the fact that they're making not so smart decisions, it's gonna be a while.
Literally,
So
I ran into that, right? Because I was a thief, so I would go on Rite Aid and steal things. The wall, wherever. I was out the mall doing all types. I was a thief. I was quick handed. But once I turned 25, I stopped stealing, and it was like. So yo, let's go in the store. Yo, we need just some playing cards, play cards. Yo, tell Pete to do it, he'll do it. I said, I'm not going in there. He said, are you scared now? Yeah. I just got out. I'm not going back in there. Yo, you ain't gonna get caught. You used to do it all the time. No, I don't do that anymore. I'm good. But that's life, man. Once you hit 25, it's like the lights in the house kick on. You're like, oh, well, no, I don't do that, because if I do that, that happened, right? But when you're young, man, I ain't worried about that. They can't catch me. You feel me? I can run past. So tomorrow night, Thursday, man, you'll be at the Keystone Wellness Center.
9th and Urinal, man. Town hall meeting. The future of our youth, man. Juvenile justice system. So you said Sergio is the third member of your group? Sergio,
he's speaking
with us. Right.
Tomorrow. There's going to be 4 panelists. So it's going to be set up as kind of a panel.
Okay.
We really just want to educate the community. So Chester is the first of a number of town halls we plan to do in Delaware County, just to kind of educate the community on like what's been going on, and what they plan to do, and then to just hear from people who have actual experiences, so that they know it's just not the playground that they are telling everybody it's going to be.
So they're telling her it's going to be a playground. They said they're going to have swings, basketball courts, tennis courts, Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Pretty pink colors, yeah.
There's going to be a secure side. Okay, so this is the plan, that they're going to have a secure side.
And then a play side.
That they want to build first. So the plans, and it's going to be about 2 years before this happens.
So will they be moving the inmates that are housed at George W. Hill out of George W. Hill and putting them in this juvenile?
No, we have some from Delaware County that are in Ohio right now. I think one in Allegheny County, and I forget where the other one is.
They used to have a train that went around, didn't they? Back in the day, like the youth train, or they put the kids on the train. They just traveled the United States on this train when they were younger, when they were youth. Like, I'm like literally.
This is before my time.
I never heard of that.
It might be before, but I think I remember that, right?
Like
They
the
put the
petition?
kid. Yeah.
I've never heard of that one.
Look it up.
I
man.
never heard
Look
of
it up,
that.
honestly.
But yeah, they're just kind of putting them wherever, whoever will take them. There's one on the loose.
But it's such a small number that we're talking about. When you talk about $45 million, that's enough to change those kids' lives.
Each one of them $1 million.
They get a house.
I still have $20 million.
That's enough to change the culture. And then you think about us as black people. You said don't let your kids go too soon.
No.
Like think about what we're up against when we leave. Think about the net worth of a black household compared to the average net worth of a white household.
Man, I think it's like it's $64,000 difference.
Yeah.
Right. Literally.
And I think you
7,000.
take somebody out of that household.
Right.
And that person has to start from zero, start from scratch. We don't have any inheritance.
No. I was just talking about my cousin passed away. I just found out about that. 36 years old, very young.
Wow.
And it rocked me, because I always thought that would be me. Right? I never thought I would live past 37. And I'm here now, I'm 43 years old, and I'm like, wow. Never thought that would ever happen to him, right? He loves his family, he was around his family, he went to school, he went to college, he did everything the right way.
Right.
And I was like, damn, wow, it's crazy. But life insurance is important. That's why I'm starting the show right here. Letha Thornton, she's gonna start next Monday, right? Next Tuesday, get everything done. Life insurance, saving money. Like, what are we doing to protect our family? You know what I mean? And our children as well, right? This juvenile justice, the system before we already knew was broken. And matter of fact, it wasn't even broken. That's how it was set up.
Right.
Right.
Right? We're gonna stop saying
Yeah,
it's
it's
broken
working
because
exactly
it's not
the way
it's
it's
working
supposed to.
exactly how
Yeah.
they want it to work.
Yeah.
Now that we're speaking up and we're more, and we've been speaking up for years, right? This isn't the first time. It's just the first time where we actually have a platform to stand on.
Right.
Where we're not underneath somebody's foot and we're actually standing face to face with them saying, this, what you're doing right here is wrong. It's not helping anyone. We need help. $45 million is a lot of money for you to spend on building another prison.
Yeah.
You need to help us.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what y'all asking for.
That's all we asking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty bold. I mean, I love seeing the young people come to meetings. I mean, this is an education for them too,
Right.
to be at a board of managers meeting and
Right.
stand in front of these adults who kind of want to listen. Some of them don't want them there. They want to just go ahead and move along with what they're playing, and they're irritated. But the rally that we had so last week really paused some things that if we hadn't shown up and shown our concern, they would have just gone ahead
on
with their
going.
plan, and that's
Right.
what they've been doing. Just like
They
this is
gonna
the
show
plan,
up. Right.
like they want us to be locked away so that we can't improve anything. And it's our fathers, it's our the ones that can help build up the household that are gone for a reason.
Right.
And then they're struggling to, of course, like the women or whoever's left behind is struggling trying to care for the kids, because we need our men back.
Right.
And so
I think TD Jake said something. I think they lit a fire under him because he was saying the women that are growing up now are more masculine than feminine. Yeah, you're climbing up the ladder to success, but who's taking care of our families? Well, they like, where the men at, right? How you gonna question us, right? And I understand a woman that is driven, right? I get that, right? You want to be successful, you want to get to the point, but
want to feed your family.
you have to feed your family,
Yeah.
right? But if there's a man that wants to be a part of your life, allow him to do that. If you have a child with him and he wants to raise his child, do that with him, not against him, right? How co-parenting, I want to start a show on co-parenting. So if there's anybody out there that is working co-parenting right for their children, right, hit me up so we can talk about this, because I feel like until we talk about it, nobody knows anything about it.
Right.
Till we have conversations and we do this right here. Nobody really knows.
Right.
You know, so co-parenting is between two people, but it's for one person. You know what I mean? So we have to agree. When you're giving direction, I'm quiet. When I'm giving direction, you're quiet. When we're both giving direction, we both complement each other in the direction. If I have a daughter, Mom, I might need you to spank her. She might need to know that she was wrong, right? Not abuse, not beatings.
Don't spank your kids, y'all.
Don't spank kids.
Do not spank your kids.
I'm not signing up for that one, no.
No spanking?
No,
That came right from slavery.
No.
Like, that came right from slavery.
So how do you
You talk to your kids like they're human beings. You sit down and have conversations.
How would you want to
and
be
exercise
taught?
patience?
I needed to be spanked.
That's what they told you.
And that-
No,
Did that work?
I was bad.
So it worked so well that you ended up in prison.
No, my father died when I was 12, so the spankings left, and my mother talked to me, and I ran all over her. I ran all up and through her.
But you're assuming it wasn't her, that it wasn't him, that it was her, the reason why you
I always wanted discipline. Most children want discipline. Most children want to be corrected.
So
if you're not correcting them sternly, if you're doing it passively and saying, "Oh, it's okay. Look at Bobby over there writing on it. Well, don't do that, Bobby." You go over there and
let me
clean
tell
it
you
off.
this as a seasoned parent.
Go ahead, Mom.
Okay. Who
Right.
you know, my dad pulled out the belt
Right.
and everything. Of course, I was the only girl, so I didn't
Right.
get
You didn't
as
get
much.
hit.
I got,
Yeah, smacked on the
but
head.
not like,
not
my
like the
brothers
boys.
got.
Right.
But I chose not to do that with my kids. And every time we go out to eat, oh my goodness, your kids are so well behaved. I can't believe it. Honor roll, teachers' favorites, never touched them a day in my life. The one time my son was probably about 3 or 4, and he did something, and I smacked him on the hand, and he smacked me right back, and I just busted out laughing. Like, that's what he's like, oh, this is a game. Like,
right,
like what is this supposed to
And
do
that's
for
what
me?
naturally comes from it. You know, we say we equate discipline with violence. What do you think we're gonna get? Look at what is happening in the street right now.
Right.
There's a lot of discipline needed, but discipline is about principles. It's about being patient and standing on what you say you're gonna
on
do.
what you stand on,
about
right.
being impeccable with your word.
Right.
About standing tall and really being honest with who you are and honoring your commitments. So discipline. I just had a daughter,
Right.
November 27th.
Congratulations.
We have another one on the way, March 19th.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and-
You working.
Yeah,
Ain't no wrong with that.
Nah, both my queens, we sit down and we talk about how we're gonna raise the kids, and we're not gonna spank. We're gonna sit down and really respect the human spirit, the soul that is in each and every one of our kids, and that's what we have to do and teach. We have to make sure that we don't adopt. We don't adopt the same model they used against us just because it's easier.
Right.
Like, you get a change, but that's all it is fear. So they're gonna use fear when they want to get what they want. They're gonna use violence when they want to get what they want. And so we gotta change the cycle all the way around. And it shows, one more statistic I'm gonna drop. It shows that the lower the education level for a family, the more likely that they beat their kids. The more educational, the college educated families, and once you get to the master's degrees, the PhDs, all that, they don't touch their kids. I don't, correlation doesn't always mean causation, but I'm just saying.
Right. Well, my dad was a Haitian immigrant, and he had a big hand.
Sapase.
Sakpase Dabule, right? He also graduated from Temple University. And he didn't spare the ride with me. I'm talking about sitting in front of I was writing, and he would crack my knuckles with a ruler. Like, that was the 80s. You know what I mean?
The teachers did it even.
Teachers did it back
Yeah.
then, right? Yeah. So I think for me, I understand what it gave to me, right? To have somebody over my back, like, yo, all right, I got to get that done. You know what I mean? And when he died, there was nobody there. So I went searching, you feel me, for a man to check me when I was wrong. I did things that people was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. He good. I'm going to do it some more. Then it got to the point where I was doing it in front of the police, and it was like, yo, what's wrong with you? Yeah, you need to go to jail. You need to go sit down. So, I felt as though, and I'm not a beater, right? I don't beat my son. One time, I beat him. And I didn't even beat him. We had a wrestling match in the living room. And I beat him up. You feel me? Because I'm like, yo, you going to learn today. And I haven't had to do that. You know what I mean? And he's not scared of me. We have conversations. We talk back and forth. We play. You know what I mean? So I understand what you're saying, right? I do. I get that. I just feel like at some point, the kid needs to understand who's the parent and who's the child, right? And that's how I feel.
And that's through violence?
We can agree to disagree. Not
Violence make you a parent?
Not always through violence. Like I said, we talk. One time I beat my son. He's 16. He goes to Archbishop Carroll, right? I didn't want him to be like me, so I didn't want to leave him with needing discipline. You know what I mean? So, but like, I got beat. Like,
so what is discipline to you? Let me ask you that.
discipline is talking, like you said, talking. But you know, if I feel as though I need to put my hands on you, I will. You know,
Is that you being disciplined?
when I was younger,
As
me
the
being
adult.
disciplined,
As the adult.
As an adult, is that
Ain't
you?
no adult gonna put their hands on me to discipline me. As a child, absolutely, because you're a child, right? When you become an adult, my son is 16. I don't see me putting my hands on him ever again.
Now he's saying, are you exhibiting discipline by like letting your anger turn?
No, it's not
turn
anger.
to
It's not anger.
whatever turn
It's-
to
so it's-
violence.
So that's another thing. I'm not angry, and I explained to myself, I'm not angry. Like, you didn't get a beating because I'm mad at you for what you did. You have what you did, and then you have a reaction to it, right? And the reaction is a beating,
Right.
punching you in the chest, hitting you. Don't do that again. Don't let me catch you doing that again. Don't do that. This is what comes from that. It's cause and effect. If I don't give you an effect, you'll keep on causing it to happen because there's nothing happening, right? Your friends, the friends that you're around, their parents aren't beating them and they're allowed to do whatever they want. You feel like you're going to do, no, you're not going to do that here, right? There's cause and effect here. So, and he noticed that and he started to gravitate away from his friends. Yeah, I can't do that with y'all. Y'all tripping. And that was at a young age. No, I'm not doing that. And he came in the house and he sat in the house and he started playing this game. So I understand what you're saying. I do. But I just feel like just once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
Right.
not effective.
Right.
Slavery showed us how effective
It
whipping,
is.
whipping,
Right.
whipping was. And so
Right.
all I'm saying is there are other ways that are equally, if not so more
Right.
effective than beating. And so it's like, all right, if I do something bad, if I steal something, I come home and I get beat. All right, I learned that if I steal, I get beat. If I steal something, I come home, you sit me down, and you had this conversation about what it means to actually be a man,
Right.
and why working for what you get is a value and a principle. It's
Right.
like, damn, if I steal something, it's not about getting beat. It's just I'm not standing on my values. You get what I'm saying? I'm learning
your
something
values,
more
right.
than just that quick, oh, I don't want to get beat, I'm fair. It's like, I understand why, the root to why. You get what I'm saying? Because as soon as that authority figure goes away, as soon as that fear goes away, we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
As soon as you're sure that you can get away with it, you're going to do it again. But
Right.
once you understand why you shouldn't do it, which is going to take a lot more time to sit down and get to the root and make a young person understand, oh, I shouldn't steal because one, I'm risking my family's reputation, I'm risking my freedom.
Right.
You know, I'm not honoring our values. It's going to take more time to get to that point. But once you do get to that point, you don't got to worry about getting there again. You don't got to worry about that kid stealing.
This is true. It's true.
Then you're relying on yourself
Yeah.
and your inner values and your core beliefs rather than, waiting for somebody else to react to what you're doing.
And my dad wasn't playing none of that.
My dad wasn't either, but
He ain't had time for none of that. And that's a little bit.
That's the
I'll
way it
say
was.
I'm about 20% like my dad. Like, on that occasion that I know you knew better and you're playing with me, yeah, I got to check you. You know what I mean? And talking. My father used to talk to me. And he would beat me, and I'd be sitting there crying, and he having a conversation with me. I don't want to hear this. You done lay your hands on me. I don't like you right now. But he would say that, do you know why you got to beat him? Do you know why this happened? This happened because you did this. This happened because you did that. Don't do that again, right? And he would say that on your values, right? What do you stand for? What do you accept for yourself, right? Because what you accept for yourself, that's what you're showing other people. So if you're out there stealing from people, you're showing people that you don't really care about yourself. You know what I mean? So I was like, you're not going to represent me that way. So, I understood that. I got it. I did. So, this is CMPRadio.net. This is Cultivating Mature Positivity Podcast. With me today, I have Miss Tonita Austin and Mr. Amir Gibbs, right?
Andre.
Andre
Sims.
Gibbs.
Amir.
Forgive me.
that is.
Shout out to him, though.
I had so much stuff to do today, and I'm just going through my notes. But they're talking about not opening the juvenile justice system that they want to create out in, are they building it in Lima? Where are they building it at?
It's currently in Lima. It's the one that was shut down is
Right.
there. But the first plan was to reopen it. But it was going to take so much money to bring it up to code that they decided not to do
So it wasn't up
that.
to code when they closed it?
Oh no,
That was part of the reason for the closures.
yeah, there was no video cameras, and the ones or not enough, and the ones that were there weren't working right. The council wouldn't fund it. There was no the plumbing was bad, so there were like sinks filled with just unhealthy.
And people were staying in there.
They had no
Living
choice.
in there.
They were living in there. They had to clean their own spaces. There was no janitorial services whatsoever inside, and so there were rats and roaches and mice, and this is what
After they just built a new facility up the road.
that DCIU.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's torture.
Yeah.
It is torture.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
and they had a budget. The county had a budget, and they just decided not to spend it on there. They also, Delaware County has the staff were paid 40% less than other counties, so they were making like $11 an hour, and I think they bumped it up to 13 not too long before the closure. So you have people making no money, kind of pissed off that they got to haul themselves all the way out there and deal with these youth. And they were abusing them.
That's crazy.
One of the public defenders spoke at our rally, and she was one of the whistleblowers, and she said that she walked in on one of the youth trying to commit suicide, and the guard just sat there and watched. He thought it was funny, and if she had not walked in their room, they would have been successful. And so that's the kind of the level of abuse and neglect that we're talking about, and then we're just supposed to sign off and be like, okay, let's paint it a different color,
Right.
and we'll just add some trees in the basketball court, and you got to trust us. Glen Mills had to be shut down, Lima had to be shut down, but you're going to trust us now to not just rebuild on the same space that all this happened, but that we're going to care for the youth. And so the one thing that I notice is that like some of these, what they call reoffenders, imagine being there and being just physically abused, sexually abused, and then you have to return to that same space again. Talk about trauma. So
And nobody was charged.
With nothing.
They substantiated the allegations. Like, it's a fact that all of this happened. The grand jury came out with a report, but they didn't name anybody in the charges. Nobody's going to be held responsible for this. But they want to hold our kids responsible and put them back in there.
yeah, because of the statute of limitations, but there are also some youth that have federal cases out of this. And so this county won't be able to even put anyone in there for about 2 years because they have to get recertified. And so that's one of the reasons why they want to really push to get these plans going so that they can, say that they're doing all the right things and they're going to do everything different and get this reopened.
So what are they doing with Glen Mills? Because Glen Mills, I've been out there. My son had a basketball tournament out there not too long ago. That's a nice campus. It's a college campus almost. It is a college campus.
But it's nicer than some college
It's
campus.
nicer than some college campuses.
Yeah.
What are they doing with that building? Because I would think they would just fix that up and let the children go there and educate the kids, because they had a lot of programs that were. It was a high school. They were competing against other high schools.
I played football up there.
Right. You went there.
I didn't go there. I played
Okay.
against them. I
Okay.
played for Academy Park in Chester High.
Okay.
So I played against them.
So if for me, it just that shocks me that they're not going that route. Like, we got $45 million. Let's just put the money into Glen Mills. Let's turn it into a school for young offenders. Let's keep them there. Let's educate them. Let's give them the love, and that's because they have houses up there, right? Let's
I'm not
give
sure
them the
who
love.
owns the land, though. Who owns that property? If that's like the county owns that, or if it's privately owned.
Yeah, I think that was the issue with the land, and then the other thing that to like renovate, to bring it up to code for what they plan to
It was
use it
already up to
for.
code. It was
gonna
open.
be-
Just 3 years. How many codes
Well, it didn't
have
have
been?
didn't have the security that the detention center that they need has. That's I don't know how much they really looked into it, but that was one of the things that we were saying is like, what are the other options? There's plenty of land in Chester. There's plenty other places that you could like buy and rebuild.
But that would, it's not, you don't have to put that much money into rebuilding or refurbishing, because Glen Mills was just open, I'm going to say 5 years ago. So it's not like everything fell apart. I'm sure somebody's up there making sure the grass is cut, the trees are, so things are getting done up there. Who's doing it?
Right.
What do we need to do? What do we need to build a whole new facility, or do we need to add on to the facility we already have, Glen Mills, and make sure it's here to teach our children and to give to our children? It's not just our children. There are children from Radnor that are getting locked up. There are children from everywhere. So the children of Delaware County.
And again, we're pushing them out of the community.
Right.
By
When they come
having
back into
them.
the community, you can come back into the community every Saturday and give to the community, help somebody out, help a business come out into the businesses. You know what I mean? But you got to go to school.
Right.
You gotta.
Yeah, they need to. These are all the options that this is what we're trying to say. Like, let's look at some options other than let's just do what we did before.
Yeah, right back to, all right, we're going to add on to Llama and just go there.
That
I like school, education. That's in education.
Listen, that's the one thing we're missing. The one thing we're missing in all of our areas is education. Is someone to sit there and teach you something that can listen. They can give you a trade. You can go there, get a trade, plumbing. They did all that stuff, right? They had. It was some people that said they have radio up there, right? You could do a radio show.
Yep.
I said, wow, I didn't know that all that stuff was up in Glen Mills. If they had it then, they had it 5 years ago. They still have the makings of it now, and you just need some people. You just need to get some teachers in place. You know what I mean? And some staff in place. And I'm sure people will work there. You're not putting no hands on no kids. We're not beating no children.
Don't beat your kids, yo.
We hugging
Not
them.
beat your kids.
We hugging them. You say you beat somebody up, come here, give me a hug, right?
All right, so come here. Let me talk
Thoughts
to you.
of
I'm
CMP radio.
going to sit down in this certain way. Just I feel like that masculine energy when it comes to discipline comes out, and it's a way you can have a real grown conversation. You want to do some grown man stuff? All right, we're going to sit down and have a grown man conversation.
Absolutely.
But it's not just like, oh, we're going to hug it out and let everything be butterflies and rainbows. Like, nah, you still got to talk.
Yeah.
There's still the restorative justice process. Like, if you cause harm, oh yeah, now you got to work to make sure that harm gets healed.
Right.
So you beat somebody up. All right, what you need to do now? What do they do? How did you affect them? How did you affect their family? And then when somebody understands what they did, understands how they impacted people and how they actually hurt people,
Right, they change.
Yeah. So now you want to go talk to that person's mom or talk to that neighbor that saw you out there fighting, and y'all gonna go have a conversation about this, and you gonna see what they need. If it's that medical bills, if we gotta pay some medical bills, all right, we gonna work to get that money now.
Wow.
But you cutting grasses, shoveling, knocking on the door, like. Yeah, it's the restorative justice. Restorative justice. That's just principles. It's not just a program. It is a program, but it's the principles are just healing harm. That's like we're gonna heal together.
Say hurt people. So why can't heal people? Heal people.
Heal people do heal people. I'm living proof.
Let's go. Absolutely. So tomorrow we'll be speaking to the youth.
We will be.
It's going to be a community-centered conversation led by young people who've been impacted or, older. I think Sergio a little older, but he's been people who've been impacted as young people by these facilities. We're going to be leading these conversations with our experience, but then also inviting the community to come out and tell us what they need.
Right.
Let's get the conversation. Let's work towards solutions. It's going to be solution-centered because we can't. It has to come from us. Anything that comes out, anything about us has to be with us at the table.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all for this. This is major. So keep doing what you're doing. Whatever. Any way I can help, man, let me know. I'll give as much services as I possibly can. But this is important. We need to have these conversations. We need to keep having these conversations. We need to talk about our children in a way that they understand is helpful, a way where they see love and hope. And you can light a person's flame, bro. It doesn't take anything away from yours, man. You put a candle to another candle, that other candle is still lit. So light a person's flame, man. Let them know that you care about them. Let them know that you love them. Anything else y'all want to say before we roll up out of here?
We love you. No, I appreciate you, giving us this time, to talk about it, and hopefully,
Anytime.
get people.
Anytime you want to come back, bro. Anytime. Literally.
Listen, I appreciate you for having this platform and holding this the way you do.
Right.
Just as one black man to another black man from the city, like, it's important that we have this and that you have this.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Appreciate you, bro. I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna keep fighting, keep fighting a good fight, man. My father always said, if you fight for what you want, at the end of the day, you'll get what you need. If you fight for what you want, at the end of the day, you'll get what you need. So I've been fighting for everybody, honestly. Like, this station isn't just for me. It's a platform. I don't want to be up here talking. So I had a stroke this summer. So I'm like, my memory's gone. My right side is weak. You feel me? I really don't want to be up here talking because I know I can't be the same person that I was. So, to find people that want to talk, that want the platform, that want to stand on it and say, this is wrong. This needs to change. We need to do this. We need to do that. For me, that's everything that I ever wanted, right? My community, talking about what affects them, what hurts them, where they're hurting at, where they're deficient at, what they don't know, what they need to know, what they need, all that stuff. Let's put it out on the forefront and let's talk about it. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for what we're going to do. I'm excited to have you up here. I've been trying to get you up here for a minute, right? But
I always watch the shows.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I truly do, right? So, I give you the same anytime, bro. Anytime. You say you want your own show, you want to talk about how we can be better parents, how we can be better fathers, how the men need to step up, how the men need to do.
I want to get the youth in here. Let's get some programs going.
Let's go. Let's go. You talking about restorative justice? I'm all for it, bro. Whatever we need to do, you got it.
All right, bet.
All right? Bet. CMPRadio.net, man. It's your boy, Uncle P. I want to thank y'all for giving me a couple minutes of your time, man. Remember, go back and watch this live, man. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube, man. It's CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester. We out.